And we'll walk around compound, see some tigers, and then see some Pete's and hear some squeaks, and Derek will ramble. Yo-yo. What's up, yo-yo? Can we be friends? Contemplating it. Maybe. Yeah, snow. She's like, okay, I'll get back to doing some stuff. Let's see if we can decrease the distance betwixt us. Yo-yo. She's like, I don't know about this. I don't know how I feel about this. Yo-yo. Yo-yo. Hey. How are you? You're doing better. Yeah, you're doing better. I'm not going to try to get much closer than this right here. You gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. There's a trailer. That's the third one. That's the third one. Today. Trailer with food in it of a livestock variety. Okay, well, let me go take care of that, and then I'm going to resume the webcast. So stay right there. Noe, are you a soccer star? Oh my goodness. Whoa. Whoa. All right. Well, got that taken care of. It was a horse that was supposed to be here maybe a few hours ago. It had some like really bad ligaments, and it needed to get put down. Bad ligaments, bad legs. So, yeah. Oh, and then you lose your train of thought because you got to go unload the thing, and then you got to get a receipt for the people, and then you got to wait there, you know, because there's a horse, and then you got to make awkward small talk, like, hey, so how about Golden State? And then the horse just looks at you because he's a horse, doesn't understand. Okie dokie, well, oh my gosh, really? This is how big my truck is. Ugh. I'm just being salty right now. I'm being just because I'm trying to get stuff done, and like I gotta feed after this webcast, and there's butchering and everything. So it's like when I get kind of like when I'm on a clear path, when I've got a path and I've got like, okay, I'm at point A, I need to be at point B. Oh, a little bit of dust. I need to be at point B at this time, and then point B or C at this time, and then I get off of that track, or something or some element takes me off of that track. I get really discombobulated, and then it makes me cranky. Ugh. I just get irritable at like just everything. So let's see if we can try to get it back. And I'm not like, look, the people are, you know, obviously they're not like the happiest campers right now. So I'm not sitting, they're not showing up like about to experience, you know, like a very sad thing. Like they got to say bye to their horse and everything. And I'm not being like, where were you? That's not it. It's still the same, just like, hey, okay, how you doing? Okay, well, let's go to the corral down here. All right, thank you guys so much. It's not like that, but then it's like, okay, well, take care and bye-bye. And then I'm like, oh, after they leave. So, but we got everything all taken care of, all squared away. Flamin' response. Well, anyway, hello, all of you big cat lovers out there. It's me, Derek, again. Welcome to another super duper, salty start of the Walk Around the Compound webcast. What are you peeing for? Oh my gosh, I don't even know. This now the energy's just all weird. And I get, here's another thing. It's like I'm getting too much into my own brain noggin about the energy. Why aren't you in your chair? I got home at like 5 in the morning. This morning. And when I did, Raven was in her chair and she was being adorable. And she was just in her chair. I should have gotten some video, but then it was, I mean, you know, it's 5 in the morning. It's still dark out. Oh boy. And you know what? I got a nagging voice inside of my head that just says, like, you know what? Just start over. Just start over. Just start the webcast over. And I'm like, no, we're not starting over. This is how it is. Sometimes webcasts are gonna be, this is like slice of life type stuff. This is real, man. This is real. Experiences and emotions and frustrations. The stuff that life is made of. I can tell myself that, you know. I'm an artist. Let's go check on Serena. Let's see how she's doing. I was hanging out with her earlier. Hey. Hey, you. Hi. Hi, beautiful. How are you? Oh, hi, baby. I love you so much. It got a little warm today, didn't it? But not in here. Not in here. It was very cool and comfortable. Yeah, actually, the people that dropped that horse off, they said that they had like some other animals that they had some like rabbits that died of heat exhaustion today. So yeah, it was hot and it was dry today. Like before, it's been like hot and moist, and so like a lot of times it's like changes in weather. Sometimes like you'll like fast forward like a few weeks or something like that, and then we've kind of been living in these conditions for a while, and then you know, animals and people both will adjust. Hey. But right when those things change, like sometimes if it's like been really dry and then you get a lot of rain, all of a sudden, like you'll get a bunch of animals that we'll get cows and horses that come in because they develop pneumonia, or they get these really bad like lung infections and stuff like that. So there's like changes in weather can affect health in a big way. So it's pre-feed. We got the people down there, we got the interns down there, the new ones. They're going to be cutting up the horse that I just shot in the head. Where are you going, Zoops? All right. Where are you going, Ra? Really? It's boycott daddy day. See how that is. You guys are jerks. They turn into teenagers. And then all of a sudden they get so independent. We don't need you anymore. Oh, come right back. You came right back. Didn't you now? You're not my dad. You don't even have a mane. In fact, you're going bald. I've tried to be the best stepdad I could be to you boys. You're like my own. Don't abandon me. Oh. So, yeah. Mr. Milo. Mr. Ace. Let's see. If I can get myself. Okay. Hello. Okay. Still recording. Good. Light. Focus. Ah, there we go. Ace. Ace. Ace, Ace. Hi. Aw. Okay. He's doing good. He's doing good. Yeah. There we go. Some vocal. Come on over here. See if we can get some squeaks. See if we can get some squacks. Hello, do you have some squacks? Yeah? Ooh. Pardon me, but could I please borrow some squacks? So, all that gorilla business, huh? What about that? I know that it's been over a week. That because I'm filming this. Today's Wednesday. Today's Wednesday, and the thing happened at the Cincinnati Zoo last Saturday, where a little boy fell into the enclosure at the Cincinnati Zoo. What? What are you? What was that first little thing about? What was that first little hiss? She's like, we don't talk about that. We don't talk about that incident. No, we gotta talk about it. That's kind of just what, you know, dialogue is all about. We talk about that stuff. Yeah, we do. I'm sorry. Free speech. This is America. This is America. You know, you're maybe you're from a strain of cougars that originated in Canada, where they stifle those things. Oh no, I'm gonna hear it from Canada now. I wanted to troll my Canadian Pride members. Be nice, eh? But seriously, your guys' laws about talking about like political candidates during election seasons are kind of screwy. It's kind of weird, you know. Fix it. Anyway, no, we're getting off topic because I wanted to talk about the thing over at the Cincinnati Zoo where that little boy, his 3-year-old boy, got into the enclosure of the gorilla exhibit with 3 full-grown gorillas. There was 2 females and then there was 1 male. And I'm sure everyone kind of has heard about it because it was all over the news. It was all over the news. And I know that there's probably people who've been wondering like why I haven't talked about it or haven't made mention of it. It was because I was going to be, oh my gosh, Gel. You done? You're antagonizing him. Look at you, frisky pants. She's like, I can't help it. I got some crazy pants inside, and I just have to rub and just kind of bother him, and then he gets annoyed, and then I go tee hee hee. Heidi does that. She'll do that. Just poke at me and stuff like that until I just go like, stop her. She bullies me. She bullies me. She does. But yeah, this oh, see that back foot? Yeah, the back Pete. Okay, she's getting herself ready. I'm still looking at her. I'm still looking at her. We're gonna move like this. We're gonna move like this, and then I'm gonna go look at the camera. That worked out great. That worked out pretty good. Okay, so yeah, that kid, little 3-year-old, got into the and basically oh okay, yeah, the reason why I didn't talk about it was because I was gonna do it. I was actually gonna turn it into another episode of my new YouTube segment, the conservation, well, my new revamped version of the conservation equation, and I was going to try to script, and I was writing a whole thing, and I was going to script something out, and then I was going to edit some stuff together, but I mean, with everything going the way that it is, and the fact that, well, I'm a weather forecaster and it's severe weather season, and that's taking up some time. And the fact that we've got all this hullabaloo with the project, the building thing, and how we're kind of retaking that whole project, and all of these different little things kind of came together. And then, yeah, I didn't. Every time I kind of tried to sit down to write, I was just either I was exhausted, or I had another thing that was going on, or my phone would buzz, or something would happen, and I had to put it on the back burner. And then it gets to the point where it's like, okay, well, now it's so far removed from the actual event that it doesn't make sense to try to like put together like an actual edited piece, because I was going to try to do something within like that first week of it happening, when people were still like really talking about it, when it was still, you know, in the minds and the hearts of everyone. But now I just have to kind of toss out that script, because I'm not going to be able to finish it. And then I'm just gonna talk about it here in the Walk Around the Compound webcast, because this is more of a stream of consciousness kind of deal. Anyway, where? Oh, there he is. It's like, where did Clyde go? Ah, there you are. Ooh, hi. How are you? Hi, Mr. Man. You are handsome. You're a handsome boy. You're a handsome boy indeed. Indubitably. I can see why Manisha thinks that you're pretty cool. But yeah, the 3-year-old got into the enclosure, and then the male silverback gorilla, a 17-year-old named Harambe, got hold of the boy, and the little boy was in there for 10 minutes. And the gorilla was, you know, posturing over him, and he was dragging the little boy through the moat and all that stuff. And then the dangerous animal response team at the zoo was called, and they went to the enclosure. They assessed the situation. I think that they did try a couple different things to try to, you know, reason with Harambe, and then they made the call that the boy's life was in immediate danger, and then they shot Harambe. They shot and killed him. They did not sedate him. And we've talked about this before, because this is such a crazy thing, because this is actually coming off the heels off of that other event that happened down in Chile, where that guy jumped into that lion enclosure, and those 2 lions were in the middle of killing him, and then those zoo officials shot those 2 lions to kill the lions and then save the guy. And yeah, this whole Harambe business sent the internet into a tizzy, into an uproar. Just got people all sorts of crazy about what happened and how the zoo handled it, and then also the little boy and the mother and all sorts of different things. Hey, you! Why? Hi, old guy. You're such an old fella. Look at those beats. Look at those beats. I love your beats. You got such great beats. And he's an old guy. He's an old big guy. And I gotta tell you, the fact that Kana Polly's still kicking around as an old big guy is awesome. Yeah! They normally don't make it this long. No, they don't. Old big guys. Yeah. So, very cool for that. Very cool. But yeah, there's all sorts of little details about like surrounding the whole event. And hi, okay, this is going to be difficult to talk about this whole thing. I know, because we have to stop every couple of seconds and talk to some really cute kitty cats. We do. We got to talk to cute kitty cats like yourself. Hi. And I made sure to like actually go around the compound before feed, because sometimes when it's after feed, the kitties are preoccupied. They got schedule faces, which that's adorable, but sometimes they can be a little bit mean faces and crazy pantses and all of that stuff. Let me just... Okay. But the little boy got into the enclosure, and then he jumped in, which, oh gosh, it was how many feet down was that? It was at least like 13, 15, something like that, feet into this moat, or maybe, yeah, 12 feet. I think it was 12 feet into a moat. I should have looked up some of the details before, because I've been reading so much about this whole thing, so everything kind of just gets all blurred together. But the little boy, he's a 3-year-old boy, and he was just like, I want to go in there, and the mom was preoccupied. She was looking at some of the other, oh no, boys, that O'Reilly says no mas. He says no thank you to your proposal, Mr. Soups. And yeah, now I can't remember. This is the whole thing. Like the little boy, because I remember hearing different. There's so many different conflicting reports with eyewitnesses and like some of the. Now O'Reilly's doing it. What are you guys doing? This is a dominance thing. This is completely a dominance thing. Oh boy, goodness gracious! And then he's like, "Now, here, smell my nuts." That's you boys. Now I remember. Now the lady was preoccupied. She was, because she had like some other kids there. You know, she was watching them, and then the 3-year-old, he got out of her sights, and then he made it into the enclosure. Some people, they were sitting there saying like, well, why couldn't, of course, this is the whole thing, why couldn't the zoo have sedated? And we've talked about that, where like sedation drugs don't work right away. Again, it's not like you hit the thing and then it just, they go down. It takes a long time. Now, I've said before that it takes upwards of like 20, 30, 40 minutes for sedations to work. Now, that's when we're doing controlled medical dosages for medical procedures. And when you're talking about like sedating and tranquilizing for like an emergency, like you're going to be dealing with drugs that are at a much higher, much more powerful, and also much more dangerous for the animal potentially dosages. But yes, they will work a little bit quicker. Everyone else was sitting there saying like, yeah, it could take like 10 or 15 minutes, okay, which was lower than the ones that I was saying in the last one, but that's why, because the ones that I've dealt with, again, controlled medical procedures. So yeah, it's not right away. And when you're talking about an animal like a gorilla, who is just incomprehensibly strong, we're talking, these animals are just and I've watched enough documentaries, and I've seen enough different people who've worked with these animals who have said like, yeah, they're just insane. They're insanely strong. They have just dense muscles and dense bones, and they can do certain things that make them like borderline superheroes. Pretty much. They could flip cars over, and they can crush coconuts in their hands. You know, ones that like coconuts that would take like a person like hacking it with a hatchet to open. So we're talking about animals that are, hi, Poopaluka, who are the strength of multiple men. And a lot of people were kind of saying, okay, well, he was trying to protect the little boy. And there have been other instances where little, kids have fallen into gorilla enclosures, and then they've either warded them off or they've held over them. But this was a little bit different, because Harambe wasn't exactly doing that. He was dragging the kid around and doing different stuff. Now, I remember hearing from different eyewitness, like I read different eyewitness accounts. This one lady said like he was trying to protect him. I don't know why they did that. I don't think that if he wanted to hurt the boy, he would have done it. And then this other guy said like, look, I saw the gorilla flip the kid like 10 feet in the air. It was like a local news channel. This guy who was eyewitness, he's like, it was a mess. Like something had to be done. So like two different people who witnessed the event, like have like different accounts of like what they saw and how they interpreted that whole thing. So again, you always have to kind of try to look into all angles, or as many angles as you possibly can. But yeah, even in the videos that I saw, like, yeah, he was dragging the kid through the moat, and like they were talking like bouncing around like on like concrete and stuff like that. And now we're talking about a 3-year-old human boy, a 3-year-old human child. This is not like a little juvenile gorilla. Now, like male silverback gorillas, like, and maybe he was being protective. Maybe he was being protective of that little boy. But even in doing so, he could have easily killed him. Easily killed the little boy. And then if that were to have happened, like, what would we be talking about then? There'd be outrage. Why didn't the zoo do something? Why didn't they save that boy? Just in the like, let's say he's like, I want to protect this little thing, but he was dragging him around. People were screaming. Which, if you're ever in a situation like that, just shut up. I mean, just talk nice, ha ha ha. Even though it's horrifying, whatever you're seeing is horrifying. You gotta keep calm, because Harambe was getting agitated. Like, he was getting confused. He was, probably scared. And then, yes, maybe he started, again, we've talked about this concept where one emotion starts like over here, but then it evolves into a whole nother, like, darker emotion over here. We talked about that concept with the cats. And people can be the same way, like when you are play fighting with your brother or a cousin or something like that, and then it turns into a real fight. I know that I've had those happen with me and my brother in the past. Happens with tigers. So there's nothing to say that it can't happen with gorillas. That anytime that you increase the energy or the emotional dynamic of a situation, it can become very dangerous. And yes, a male silverback gorilla can drag around a juvenile gorilla. That juvenile gorilla is going to be fine. They're not going to be really hurt. Again, because we're talking about animals that have thick bones and they have dense muscle fiber tissues and they have stout joints, and they can be kind of pummeled around. But like a 3-year-old boy, they're made like basically just a couple steps above like a tiny little version of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. That's what a 3-year-old human toddler is when you want to compare the two species. So even if Harambe was trying to absolutely protect the boy, he could have been bouncing him around on the rocks and could have totally killed him. And then all of a sudden, like, you get the whole idea, like, well, we've got to do this kind of stuff. And really, like, it just takes them like one moment of getting just kind of like, wah, and they just, something happens where an emotional kind of thing kind of flips on, and then you ever get impulsive and you just like, I don't know why I did that, but I just did. Now we're talking about an instinctual wild animal. Yes, tremendously intelligent wild animal, gorillas, tremendously intelligent. And emotional creatures, empathetic creatures, yes. But when you're talking about a male silverback gorilla that was stressed out and was starting to show signs, and I've read this from other people. I've read this from other experts who are looking at the things. There was this really good post on Facebook from this woman who has been, she worked with gorillas for I think 9 years as a zookeeper. She said, like, look, you also have to realize that male silverback gorillas are very territorial animals. Why? Hi, Slade. So don't talk about that. Talk about how cute I am. You're very cute. You're very cute. But we talk about that a lot. And I think that people are very well aware of your cuteness. So you're talking about. What are you talking? You're talking about. Oh, the lady was. She was saying how male gorillas, they will make territorial displays. They will make displays of dominance. Where they're like doing things where they're pursing their lips and their teeth and stuff like that, and they're basically showing like, hey, see this little thing, mine. And it could have been, it could have started with like, hey little guy, what's going on, hey, how you doing? And then people start freaking out, and then like the emotional like energy of the situation goes up, and then it turns from like Harambe trying to protect this kid to now all of a sudden they're just like, you know what, F y'all, this is mine. And like, I'm not saying that that's what happened, but that's a plausible scenario, okay? And the zookeepers know that. They know the dynamic of these animals. They know the nature of these animals because they work with them every single day. The emergency response team, again, the kid was in the enclosure for 10 minutes. 10 minutes! So it's like there was time where they did kind of look at things. And I kind of tend to think, and people were saying like Harambe was trying to throw the kid like up from the moat into like another like elevated area, and that's why the guy said like he was throwing the kid up in the air, and maybe he was trying to get him into like one of like the lockdown areas. Regardless, we're talking about a very strong animal that's tossing around this little kid. So the zoo officials at that point made the decision to shoot and kill Harambe. They didn't want to do that. Tragic event. They didn't want to do that. But given the circumstances and given the rapidly unfolding situation, they felt like they had no choice. And I can understand that. Okay. I remember seeing different things about like the little boy. There was like a 3-foot. Okay, so there was a 3-foot barrier, something like this high off the ground, and then there were some bushes, and then there was the moat. I think that's what was keeping people from animal. And now I was hearing that he went over the barrier and then through the bushes and then into the moat. But then I also heard different reports that he went through the barrier, then through the bushes, then into the moat. But, you know, regardless, he was able to make it in. And here's the thing. The zoo, they're a USDA regulated facility. They're accredited by the American Zoological Association. They're a very reputable organization. Very reputable organization. They've got a good track record for safety. 38 years, I guess, that enclosure's been in operation, and this has never happened. But people, I mean, immediately they wanted to sit there and pin 100% of the blame on the mother for not watching her kids. And I understand the emotion. Like, look, you're a parent, you gotta be responsible for your kids. And Jeff Corwin, he had a good thing that he said on like a CNN interview, like a zoo is not a babysitter. Okay? Like, you do have to have personal responsibility that comes into play. Totally agree. The zoo is not a babysitter. I mean, you're not like a 3-year-old is not going to just walk up with just a wad of like cash and be like, I want to see animals, give me a ticket. And just puts it on the counter. And then like the ticket person at the zoo is like, oh, here we go, sir, here's your ticket. Have a nice day at the zoo. They're not going to do that. Like small children would have to be accompanied by, a designated guardian. Because there's like this certain, there's an implicit understanding that, hey, you're going to watch your kid, all that stuff. I get that. But if something like that happened, like, I want to use a hypothetical scenario to kind of maybe try to illuminate the point that I'm trying to make. Let's say that a similar circumstance occurred where little boy gets through the barrier, through the bushes, jumps into the moat, and cracks his head on the bottom of the moat. Dies instantly. And then the zookeepers are able to come up. Okay, shush, Harambe. Okay, all the girls come on. And then they were able to successfully lock up all the gorillas. Kid's dead. Like, the news would be doing things a little bit differently. They'd be showcasing things a little bit different. They would be narrating the story differently. And we would look at it differently too. I would. At least I know I would. I would be like, ooh, that's a tragedy. Oh, gosh, that sucks. How can we prevent that from happening again? Like, that's, oh my gosh. What? And I would sit there and think, like, what about the zoo? I mean, like, how did a 3-year-old get in there? How did that happen? And would everyone be sitting there saying just like, that piece of crap mom, oh my God? I mean, I'm sure that there would be like people on the internet saying just like, oh, that mom, she should have been watching her kids. But to the level, because I mean, we're talking change.org petitions that have 500,000 signatures basically saying that they want to bring up like criminal charges against the mother who like, lost track of her kid. And here's the thing, like, so many people who like were just talking mad crap about this whole thing probably don't have kids. And look, I'm just like, and especially Heidi. I mean, like, she's raised, our 3 kids were raised in, like, around this whole sanctuary, around lions and tigers. They've been around lions and tigers their entire life. And of course, we have to maintain, like, the personal responsibility of watching over these kids. You know, but then it's like we're the parents and then we're the operators. So, like, I don't know, I'm getting a little bit off track with this whole thing. But I guess all I'm trying to sit there and say is, like, I understand that, yeah, you're not going to be there for every single moment, and you're not going to be there to, like, and kids will slip away from you. And then, I don't know, there's a part of me that thinks, like, because that, again, this is differently. We operate our facility a little bit differently. We're allowed to bring the public into the facility to see the cats, but we have guided experiences. We have guided tours, and we don't allow kids under 7 to come into the compound unless we make special accommodations and special arrangements ahead of time. But that's the only way that we allow little ones to come in, because they don't understand the consequences of their actions, and they can become too hazardous, and the cats want to eat them, and there's a list of things. So yeah, we don't like having, like, little kids come into the compound. And we have guided experiences. We have tour guides, and we have backup tour guides, and we have extra auxiliary security personnel watching people. But so that makes me think, like, if you're an establishment, if you're like a zoologic establishment, and your whole thing is, you know, to, like, let people just come in. Like, hey, we're going to let people just kind of come in, and you're going to have a great time, and you're going to have an enjoyable time and a safe time and a great experience. Bring your family, bring your kids. It's great for kids. Come on, bring the kids, bring the kids. Like, I'm not going to sit there. I'm not going to look at all of this stuff in its some total totality and then just say, just like, the mother is the only reason that this gorilla's dead. Because that's basically what everyone's doing, and it's bullshit, okay? Yes, the mother holds some responsibility, okay? But not all of it. Not all of it. And the zoo, they did accept they said like, we're going to reevaluate the nature of our you know, of our enclosure. And again, we're talking about, okay, we're talking about an organization. They are USDA regulated. They're AZA accredited. Okay, so they have had multiple layers of experts come into their facility and inspect their stuff, and still this whole thing happened. And instead, and like, that's what, like, I remember talking to Heidi about this, and she was pretty fired up about the whole kind of thing, just like about the level of people and the number of people who are just basically talking out of their asses about this whole thing, who had no clue, you know, about some of the different things. And it's like, instead of, like, pointing and just trying to find a face for your anger and your outrage, like, we gotta try to figure out a way to that this type of thing never happens again. That this never happens again. And the zoo, they took steps. They took steps to shore up their people barriers. They made it so, like, maybe the wood slats, because I think, again, and I think that was a big thing, because, like, there's some investigation stuff that's going on. Like, I don't want to talk or speculate, you know, out of turn, and allegedly, there's some facts that I'm not up to date on or up to speed on. But they completely redid the barrier into that enclosure because there's still to the 2 female, and I feel bad about those 2 female gorillas, because they're social creatures, and now they were just getting to know Harambe, from what I understand, and now they got to be devastated. They got to be really upset about that whole thing, and no one's talking about that, about those 2 poor female gorillas now. Yeah, the thing is, like, in the mother, like, people, they wanted to, like, ruin her lives. Like, people wanted to take her other kids. They wanted to take her kids away from her. But how many people have, like, how many people have, like, lost track of a kid at a zoo? How many? I mean, when you think about it, how many kids have been lost? But then, just like, but without incident, they've been found. They were found, and everything is good. Everything is fine. No one is trying to light torches or pitchforks or anything like that. You know, it's one of those things where if a 3-year-old got into one of our enclosures, if a 3-year-old got in, and like, I don't know how that would happen, but if a 3-year-old got into one of our enclosures and was one of the cats, you know, was messing with them, and we had to take action, like, my whole thing, like, I wouldn't be looking. And if it was like during like regularly scheduled tour hours, if it was like during the time where we allow the public to be in, if all like the other circumstances for the Cincinnati Zoo incident were like basically the same as here, and there's public and there's staff and there's people, like the operation of the day is like up and running. If that happened and a 3-year-old got in, like, I would not like look at the mother and be like, what did you do? I'd be like, how did a 3-year-old get into one of our enclosures? How did this happen? Oh, jeez. Like, it's, you know, definitely be looking in a different direction. And I'm not trying to sit there and say just like, this is all one person's, or this, it's not this is completely the Cincinnati Zoo, or this is completely the mother, you know, or like, there's a bunch of different things. It's, I mean, maybe the enclosure itself wasn't, like maybe there were parts that were more dilapidated that the kid could get through, and then maybe the mom could have been watching the kid more, and maybe the regulations for gorilla enclosure barriers for public, you know, zoologic visitors, maybe the regulations from these overarching organizations need to be a little bit tighter. I mean, there's a lot of different things that go into this. It's not just one thing, but people are dumb and instinctual creatures, and it's a lot more simple for us to say just like, here, and just like to have one face and say like, this one person, this one woman is the source and the problem. And they wanted to sit there and say just like, they wanted to say that she should be like, you know, held criminally liable because Harambe is an endangered lowland gorilla and all this stuff. And it's like, come on, I don't think that's, I think that's a little bit overkill. I'm sorry, I do. And I know that there's a lot of people that they're probably going to agree with some of the parts and they're going to disagree with some of the parts. There's some people are probably going to disagree with basically everything I'm saying. That's fine. That's fine. I'm not, and but these are my thoughts and these are my opinions. Just everyone they got on that high horse quick. They got on that high horse real quick. And now, like, no one's talking about it. Before, it was, like, front page everywhere. Everyone was talking about it. It was, like, trending topics on Facebook and Twitter and just so many people on the Change.org stuff. And then, just like, you know, Justice for Cecil or all those other different things, people forget. And they just don't talk about it anymore. They go in, they swoop in like a pack of locusts, and then they just pick apart, you know, lives and everything, and then they swoop away without really ever accomplishing anything. Yeah, I feel bad. I feel bad for the woman because, you know, like she may not. I mean, again, I'm not sitting there saying like, oh, she's a pinnacle of responsibility and awesomeness. I'm not saying that, but is she the evil, you know, like Antichrist that everyone is trying to portray her as? No. This villainous person who like should have her children taken away from her forever and ever, and should be held criminally liable for the death of an endangered. No. I mean, because it's like she should be held liable for having a zoo with public, you know, walk around places to have an enclosure that a 3-year-old can easily get into. Like, look, there's a lot of layers of responsibility in this whole thing. That's all I'm saying. The big key is just how can we ever prevent this thing from happening again? Get them all free. Get them all free. Shut all down the zoos. Yeah. Besides, I understand. I get that. Okay. Oh, but again, Again, and I go back to that hypothetical scenario, because that was an eye-opening thing for me, because I was running thought experiments with, whoa, my gosh, what if a 3-year-old got in with Max, man? But I was doing those things where, like, let's say that kid fell into the enclosure, hit his head, died, they got the gorillas locked up. What would we be talking about now? Let's say that they did try to tranquilize Harambe, but then all of a sudden, like, he freaked out, and then he, like, basically, you know, because we're talking like Lenny from Mice and Men, you know, I will rub him and pet him and name him George level of strength, you know, and then let's say that he, like, freaks out and then picks the kid up and just, like, throws him against, you know, a cement wall and just kills him, which a gorilla could easily do. Let's say that he had the boy, and then, like, literally without, and the keepers were trying to plead with him and all this stuff, and the gorilla just, like, basically just grabbed his head and then just went and just popped it off, which again is in the realm of possibility, because he just was curious and he's just like, I wonder what this does. Oh, it's making interesting noises. Now, yeah, they're peaceable animals. I get that, but there's, like, what if some of these other things happened? And oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? But yeah, what if some of these other things happen? What if these other scenarios played out? And that kid died, and the zoos didn't act, and then all this, like, how would the narrative be different? Would we be, you know, because now, like, the mom lost a kid and then Harambe's alive, would people be more sympathetic with the mother? Like, oh, you poor woman. I mean, like, that's, like, you know, it's, and this whole thing is kind of just, it was upsetting and it was confusing. I mean, yes, the event itself was tremendously tragic, but it was also the people's reaction too. And Heidi made a good point when we were talking about it. It seemed like a lot of people had lost their they lost a lot of their humanity when they were talking about this. And here's the thing, and I understand that people, they were just upset. And sometimes people, they get upset and they want justice. They want something to happen. They want something to be fixed. They want something to come of it. They want to blame someone, and sometimes it's not that simple, and that's frustrating. And it sucks. That's sometimes how life is. Again, the big thing, just got to find a way to move forward and fix it. The zoo seemed to be doing just that. They completely revamped their enclosure, made it safer. They had, like, you know, higher barrier with, like, mesh. Instead of like slatted wood, they had, like, you know, like a rope chain link mesh kind of thing that's more secure for, like, little kids can't get through. And I mean, you know what, I don't, like, if they just want to, like, sell those, like, little kid leashes and just call them, like, you know, Harambe harnesses, that would probably be a good idea too. And here's another thing. I grew up on farms in Wisconsin, okay? I did. I grew up on farms and, like, oh, I said, like, I did. Like, that's, like, some crazy, like, thing. Like, did you know? Like, no, you guys knew. And me and my cousins, we would, like, mess around, like, grab the electric fence. No, you grab it. No, you grab it. Like, oh my God, this really, like, that really hurt. You know, we'd do stuff like that. Just be idiots. Yeah, hot wire. Not to keep the animals in, but to keep the people out. Like, why not? Why not? And then just like, well, what if they have heart conditions? Okay, well, that's also a thing. But still, you're not going to be, I don't know. There's a lot of different things. Maybe you have, like, remote sensors that just spray mace. just tase people and stuff like that. Stay out of the gorilla enclosure. I'm only 3. Look, as long as it's non-lethal, that's okay. Maybe the leashes are probably a little bit more of, like, a workable idea. But at least, like, the kid would have been out of danger and Harambe would still be alive. You know, he would have been shocked, and then the mom would have been like, they're shocking my kids. So, yeah, I mean, look, I'm all up for, like, all sorts of different types of ideas and whatnot. But, yeah. That whole thing was it was a mess. Look at this. We actually went back. We did because this is a really long webcast. We actually started up here, and then we went around the whole compound, and we came all the way back. Oh my gosh, that's pretty crazy. I deleted so many different things off my phone because I literally had like hours of like webcasts just like saved, and it was like bogging my phone down, and I'm like, I gotta get rid of some of these. My archives, my archives. All right. There's all sorts of, there's other things that I probably wanted to talk about again if I would have had, because I sat and I did have like half of a script already written, and it was going to have all the edits and stuff like that, and it was going to be all, you know, cheeky and fun and whatnot, and it was going to kind of try to compress all of that information. But instead I just said like, hey, just go from memory, all that stuff that you wrote down, whatever. Yeah, we'll keep on doing more conservation equations. Maybe not, because again, I probably want to try to do things like conservation equation stuff on less like topical, like newsy type things, and more just on like conservation kind of topics and just ideas. So that might be a little bit of a change to kind of want to operate with that whole thing. I'm getting kind of rambly right now. I thought that because again, this is the thing, I'm scanning my head, like, is there anything I left out? Is there anything I forgot to mention? Was there anything regarding the whole thing? And I know that there's other stuff that I want to talk about as far as that whole gorilla thing, as far as the Harambe thing, as far as all that stuff. I think that I got most of the points out that I wanted to ultimately make. I eventually kind of clunkily got there, but yeah, we did it. We made it. Oh my gosh, this is the same exact thing. Same exact thing. Hi, you're pretty. You're pretty. Yeah, you are. You're very pretty. Blah. Blah. Yeah. You know, glass houses and stones, and let he who is without gorillas cast the first banana. I don't know how those sayings go. Those are my thoughts. I'm going to end this before this just completely derails. I probably should have written some notes down before I just said, just wing it. Just like, you read a bunch of articles, just go. But whatever, it's fine. Made the case, made the point, really long webcast. Sorry about that. Yeah, those are my Harambe thoughts. I'll talk to you folks later. All right, bye-bye. Okay, I remember what it was now. Because there was something in the back, I knew that there was a thing that I was thinking about up over here, and then I forgot to talk about it, but it was an element of the case that of course, you know, look, amidst this whole tragedy, there is an element of the case that was comically ironic, and the fact that the lady, and I'm not going to mention the lady's name, like, I don't need to do that, you can look it up and that's fine, but the fact of the matter that the lady was an administrator at a preschool, so like her job is to, like, you know, like, watch kids, and then the whole thing with the gorilla happened. It's a little awkward. But yeah, that was a point that I wanted to make. Like, that was a point that I wanted to make when I was back over at Tess. And then I just remembered, like, oh yeah! I just had to come down and get these guys locked up, because we're going to give them a body inside of this section. There's Lucha. Beezer, come on. Let's go. Good boy. Oh. Hey, you guys just want to just hang out with me all day? We'll just kind of go and, you know, we'll just hang out and we'll just go. Yeah. All right. Now, finally, end. I don't have any more points to make. Even if I did have any more points, I'm not gonna wind the cameras back up. I'll put them in the video description if I think of anything different that I didn't touch upon already. All right. All right. Bye-bye. For real this time.